Hello, and welcome to another Scottish mountain walking guide. In today's video, I'll explain the route taken while showing a 3D flyover for the route. This is followed by the full walk time-lapse with video and commentary from the walk. For today's walk, I've returned to Glen Nevis, and this time parking at the Lower Falls car park to climb Stob Ban Mullach and Coirean. The total distance for today's walk is 13.2 kilometres with 1,181 metres of ascent. In summer conditions, it is expected to take around 5 hours and 15 minutes to walk. Parking is at the Lower Falls car park in Glen Nevis, just before the road changing from a normal 2-lane road to a single track road. Parking is £5 for 12 hours. There are no height restrictions and you can probably fit around 50 cars in the car park. There are also a couple of areas close to the car park where if you're early you can park for free. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes drive from Glasgow and 3 hours and 25 minutes drive from Edinburgh. This is the pay to display car park with the public toilets, and there is a free parking area here that can take about 5 cars. There's a little bit of space here, and then there's a lay-by at the side of the road here. Leave the car park, continuing down the road towards the end of Glen Nevis. You'll cross over a small river here, and then before the larger river and bigger bridge there's a gate on your right hand side, and you want to go through the gate. Once you've made that turn, the path is very clear and it goes all the way up the valley. So you're turning south and you're going to follow this path. Now it splits occasionally, you can go either side of this path. Continuing up the valley, again there's a slight split where the path splits into two. Ignore the turn to the left, and when I was walking here I never even noticed it. Continue walking, following this path as it rises up and through the valley. You're not at the lowest point where there's this river, you are going up the side of the mountainside, but it's a very clear and obvious route. You're going to continue up there. Now this part here has got some large drops on your right hand side, so it's quite steep as you can see by the little signs of crags there. And just as you come through this narrowing point, the path will turn back on itself and zigzag for a fair distance up this mountain, so you're making more of a direct ascent up this length here. At the point where it turns back, there is where people have went on and missed the turn, and there's fresh rocks where they're trying to put a boundary in place to guide people to use the main path. So you just want to look out for that point and just follow the path as it doubles back on itself. And as you're going up the side of the mountain here, you can't see where the path is going ahead of you, not in the distance because of the landscape, but it is a very clear and easy to follow path all the way up. There's no scrambling, there's no difficult sections. A little bit steep, but it's just a walk. And that walk goes all the way up, flattens off a little bit here, and then you're turning to the west. And you follow that and it zigzags until you eventually come up onto the ridge here and you're met with a large cairn. When you come to that cairn, you're going to head directly west and turning to your right. It rises up gradually at this point, and then there's a bend to the left as you're just following the path, but now you're on the edge of a ridge, so if you went any further you would start descending. There's nothing too steep about this and it's not exposed. It looks quite daunting ahead. There's a lot of cliffs as you can see by the crags here, and you're going up on the left hand side of this ridge. There is significant drops on the right hand side, but you can keep well away from the edge and it's quite comfortable. Again, a little bit steep, but there's a very clear path and there's no scrambling involved. When you come up to this point and it bends to the left a little bit, you are actually on a thin ridge, and again there are large drops to the north of you, but if you keep to the left there's nothing too exposed. And then you'll come into the corner. There's a little bit of steepness here. I wouldn't quite call it scrambling, but you're going up a few big steps. And then you double back on yourself and walk back towards the summit. There are big drops to the east, and the summit cairn itself is quite close to the edge on the top of this one. Reasonable sized cairn, incredible views from this point. From the summit you continue north, bend slightly to your left and then back to the right. There's a little cairn, you can go right up to the edge here for the viewpoint, but you'll see a cairn, you're heading towards that cairn, and then from there you're going to head northwest and start descending down here. Even in the snow this wasn't difficult. There's a reasonable steepness to it, but it's not daunting. You'll come down here, you'll see a path that goes off that way, and I was tempted to climb up that route, and maybe in another time I will go up that way, but you avoid that path, turn to your left, and you're going to walk along this ridge. It's descending here down to this low point here. All of this terrain is quite rocky all the way along this ridge line, a little bit rocky and uneven, but it's not too steep. A little bit of an ascent up to this point, and then you're going along a fairly flat, it drops down a little bit, and then climbs up again. There are no difficulties coming along this ridge. You'll come to this high point and you'll bend round more to the north and follow the path. It descends a little bit, and then you come to the edge here where it starts to drop off, and you're going to turn to your left and just continue to follow the path. It is a very clear path. It goes round the top of this rim, and this is a sort of low point here. Then you're going to start ascending up to this final summit. This is not that steep, just making your way up, and there's a huge cairn on the top of Mullach nan Coirean. From there you're going to continue north and then bend round northeast, and it's quite easy to navigate. There's a well-worn path and you're going round the rim of this sort of bowl shape here, so you're following the path around. Now when it comes to this point, it is a fairly steep descent, but there's no scrambling again, it's just a walk, and you can walk straight down here. And this is one of the quickest and easiest descents of my recent walking videos. You make your way down, again following the path and just following the natural line of the ridge. You're going to come down and you'll see a fence, and there's a big stile that goes over the fence at this point, but the path deviates away from the fence for a little bit and then joins back up to that fence. And then it's going to bend round to the left, heading more northwest again, and that is following the line of the fence. Now this whole walk has been really good terrain. There's a little bit around the start that's a little bit wet and soggy, but it's not that bad. That is until you come to this point. It descends fairly gently, then it gets a bit steeper, and then somewhere down this point, and I think it's around about here, just before it sort of flattens off a little bit, it gets very wet and very boggy. One of the worst sections of path I've done in a long time. I went over to the left a bit, as you'll see other people have done that as well, to try and avoid the worst of the mud and the water, but it's pretty bad. This area is bad. You cross over a large stile, it takes you into the woodland, and then from there the path starts off quite nice. Gravel path, looks good, and then you get round the corner and it is really wet, really boggy, and really quite bad. That is for a little bit, and then it does improve. About halfway down it gets a lot drier and a lot better, the gravel improves, and from here down to the road isn't bad at all. And once you're on this road, it's a very nice walk. On this gravel road, you'll come to a fork in the road you want to keep to your left, which is pretty much straight ahead. Comes right down to the end, and then you can leave the road and there's a good path that goes down through the woodland. Very nice walk, takes you right back down to the main road, and this is this second of those areas where you could park for free. It only takes a few cars, and from there you turn to your right and return back to the car park. Good morning, I'm at the Lower Falls Visitor Car Park in Glen Nevis. Time is 9:45. Little bit of a later start. It was very cold. There was actually ice on the tent this morning. So from the car park, you want to head out the gate there, and then immediately before the river, go through a gate to the right. There are actually two rivers here. So you cross the first bridge, and then before the second bridge over there, turn to the right. You can see a couple of walkers through there. Should be a nice easy walk to start with. We're just going up in this valley here, all the way up to the back of that low point. So Stob Ban is the small pointy top at the back there. A little bit up ahead the path splits. There's the route that goes up for the ring of steel on the left, and we just keep walking round the side of the hillside here, all the way up. at 350 metres, about 2/3 of the way up the valley. The Mullach point is at 750 metres. Really interesting rock structure up there. When you get to this bit, you can see signs of an old path going along there, but you want to just keep going straight up now. You want to turn to your left and go straight up. It zigzags up here to where that guy's walking his dog. It's just after coming round a fairly steep drop where the path goes round the side of the mountain there. So straight up. 1.5 kilometres and 280 metres of ascent to go up onto the ridge up there. Then another 300 metres to the summit. So not even halfway up. A little bit breezier the higher up I get. Still 150 metres to go to the Mullach in altitude. Just approaching the Mullach. The path goes up here and then it cuts back to the left and then you go back up to the right. You could go more direct, but I think I'll just take it the easy way. The views are just getting incredible as you make your way up. It's blocking the view of Glen Nevis in the background. Do feel that it might get quite a bit windier once I come over the top of this Mullach just up here. And at the Mullach, 730 metres of ascent completed, another 250 to the summit. When you get to this point, you turn to your right. Just looking across towards Glencoe, the Anak Ridge, Bidian Nan Bian. It's a steep ascent for this last section, but you just keep to the left hand side of those cliffs. It's not meant to be too difficult. I've done this once before, but I have no recollection. There you can see the summit of Glen Nevis. easily the best part of the walk. Views here are just amazing. Glen Nevis summit is just clear. You can even see Carmorgerrig. It's not far now to the summit of Stob Ban. I can see the rescue shelter on top of Glen Nevis. I still find it hard to believe we've been on Glen Nevis and that has been buried about 20 feet below the snow. So far this isn't very difficult to come up. A few big steps. It's not exposed, not when you're coming up the path. If you go closer to the right hand side there is a big cliff, especially up there, but I can see the path goes off to the left away from the cliffs. Probably just makes its way up that steep slope, so it's not difficult. A little bit windier, but the views more than make up for that. The last little bit of this does go across quite a narrow ridge. As you're ascending, you can keep to your left, right is look back, just to keep away from it, but there are some big drops down there. At the summit of Stob Ban. This is well worth it. And then a really nice ridge walk along there to the next top. There's not even that much descent and reascent, about 180 metres. It's just over 3 kilometres and 200 metres of ascent to Mullach nan Coirean. Going to head directly north down the ridge and up to the little top there, all the way along the ridge as it undulates, and then it comes up to another top and then you bend off to the left. And that's looking directly across the Bidian nan Bian. And there's the buckle. Doesn't really look recognisable from this side. You can see the pointy summit in the middle. And then you're out across the Rannoch Moor. There you can see the summit of Unach Beg from last week's walk. The big curved one there, and then directly to the left of it is Unach Moor. So from here I'm going to head off in this direction. As you leave the summit there, take care not to go close to that edge. There's a big cornice of snow. as soon as you come to this side, there's clear signs of a path, and we're just making our way down. You can see the path cut the corner there. There's a couple of walkers or mountaineers. I was tempted to try coming up that way. It's a shorter walk, but I just wasn't too sure about it. So take it the safe way. So going down to that crossing, and a nice easy walk all the way back out. Once you've come down that little section, you just want to head across to this cairn and then head down the other side. And from this little cairn you just zigzag down to where that big cornice of snow is. The sun's coming and going just now. It's really nice when the sun's out and when the wind fades away, but the wind does pick up from time to time and it gets really quite cold. Still got stunning views, but the wind's picked up quite a bit. There's a slightly rocky section here, big gully drop down there. Nothing difficult, no scrambling, but some bigger steps. That ridge looks a lot more impressive from this end. You can clearly see Munros Beg in the sunlight over there. Then Munros More. And then Glen Nevis. Up to the summit of Mullach nan Coirean is an altitude of 86 metres, or an ascent of 86 metres. And after that it's just all downhill. on the summit of Mullach than Coirean. It's taken 4.5 hours to get here. It's 4.5 kilometres back to the car park and 900 metres of descent. So from this summit you head directly north for about 200 metres and then follow the ridge as it curves round to the right. So you'll be heading towards Glen Nevis over there. It's nice sitting behind the cairn out of the wind. Now we go down this little ridge. You can see the path going down over there, and before it gets to the end it cuts off to the left down towards the woods. So you don't go all the way down the top of that ridge. Almost. We'll cut down to the left just before the end. Wind's picked up, and when you're in the shade it's quite cold. It's not so bad when the sun comes out. When you see this stile and fence, we just keep to the left. So far this has been one of the easiest descents I've done in a long time. The only negative is about the weather today. The wind's really picked up on the descent. A little bit less now that I'm off the top, but it was pushing me around a little bit back there. The path pretty much follows the fence line down, and it started to bend round to your left as you're descending, and now it straightens up, and we just follow this straight down to the woodland below. This section's a bit steep, a little bit tricky. Just have to take your time. A lot of loose rocks and some bigger steps to descend down, but just keep following the fence. This section's a bit wet. I'm going to go round to the side and try and avoid it. So we're going down to cross over that stile there. From there's about 400 metres until we're on an actual road, and then it's back to the car park. For a moment there I thought the path through the woods was going to be better. It's not. The path has improved, so the majority of it's good. Just some sections are very wet and slippy and boggy. When you come to this road, you just go to the right. When you come to this junction, keep straight ahead, which is slightly left. You can see the car park from here. There's a trail that just goes down here, just where that white post there is. The trail goes down there, takes us straight back down to the road. Once you make it down to the main road, you just want to turn right and follow the road back to the car park. Hope you enjoyed the video. Got some amazing views today. I look forward to showing you more in the next one. That's me back at the car park. Total time since leaving the car park, 6 hours and 15 minutes. Bye for now.